Alright, hello and welcome to the second Red Laugh Riot podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Ben.
I love I love I love how confident you are. Like you're not even sure of your name. So we're back again. Back in I'm in black. I don't know what color Ben's wearing, but yeah. So we're back.
I'm wearing white. Anyway,
Alrighty.
this is a really bad intro. Come on, let's get it.
Yeah. But all good. Yeah, so we're back. Alright, let's get started, shall we, with that very dicey
Yep.
intro. Ben, do you wanna introduce the first segment?
Yeah, so the first segment is called Reading the Headlines. So what we do is we head to the top of Reddit and we scroll through, read some headlines, and just talk about them. So the first headline today from Politics: 400,000 Americans in 900 cities ready to take to the streets if President Trump fires Rosenstein after NYT bombshell. Matt, have you heard anything about this?
I haven't heard anything about this. Which is weird because usually I'm pretty onto it. Um,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
have
don't
no idea
know.
what's happening anymore. I mean, it's sort of with the whole Trump situation. I sort of like
Mm,
I I sort of gave up, you know? Like
right.
I sort of gave up within
Yeah.
like the first month of his presidency, and it just
Okay.
went, yeah, I don't know, yeah, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it seems like Reddit's taking it pretty seriously.
Oh, really?
So it sounds like, yeah,
So pretty
yeah.
pretty
It's like I don't know what it's about, but I know that they're serious about it. So that's
right.
good to hear that. You know, it's inspiring to see when the internet comes together and like it's like for a particular movement or something. You know, like we saw this, not this, but like we saw that kind of getting togetherness. When was it last year? I think it was last year. Maybe it was this year. I can't remember. Time flies. When the whole net neutrality thing was happening in the US, um, every subreddit was plastered with a big post about like what you about signing up for some petition or whatever to ensure that net neutrality would stay, and the vote got passed or whatever, and it ended up they still passed the bloody bill, and so yeah. But
Yeah.
it's still cool to see that the internet's not just necessarily a random group of complete strangers who always disagree on everything, but they can come together in these instances. I think
Yeah,
that's
I
quite cool.
mean, it sort of shows the power really of the internet and
Yeah,
what I mean, net neutrality is something that everyone should like care about because it's such a huge part of everyone's lives in, today's society. And it's something
yeah,
that
absolutely.
it shouldn't be restricted. It should be free for everyone to use. Um,
Yeah, ideally.
yeah.
To be honest, I mean, I think the problem with the internet in the US, I don't think the problem lies with net neutrality. I think abolishing net neutrality as the internet is in its current state is a terrible idea because it's not distributed well enough. But in the United States, like there's just not enough internet providers who can meet like certain standards, because it's such a large country. I guess maybe just has taken longer to roll out across the board. But a lot of people only have one or two internet providers to choose from. In some areas, they only have one provider to choose from, so they're forced to be with them. No matter what, they don't have the choice. Like we in New Zealand, I don't know. There's like 10 or something. There's a lot of different internet providers, and so in New Zealand, we actually don't have net neutrality, which is what some people don't know. But it's not strictly, um, yeah, there's no enforcement on net neutrality. So internet companies can do whatever they want, but because there's so many of them, if one internet company does something stupid, then we're just going to move to another one who's not going to do that. because they
Right.
can use it as marketing for themselves, and the competition is what keeps the consumers happy. But when net neutrality doesn't exist, like in the United States, and there's also no competition, that's when it's a really big deal, and that's when people just get screwed over. Um, yeah, whereas here, like you have certain companies that will give you certain bonuses, um, or might, like, for example, give you free access to Netflix or whatever, which is technically not net neutrality because it's favoring one website over another,
Mm.
or something like that, and that's like that's a marketing kind of thing that they use to get more customers. And if that company does something you don't like, you just move. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's where though the danger comes into it is it if bigger companies such as Netflix like pay off the IPO to give them better speeds than another streaming service, though it restricts fair competition between businesses, but it also restricts like startups and that, right? Because a company as big as Netflix could afford to pay off the IPOs, but a startup wouldn't be able to.
I think you mean. Do you mean ISP? No, IPO. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to be a problem, not in New Zealand, because, like, if, for example, Spark did that, if Netflix paid them off to reduce the speeds of Amazon Prime and iTunes and whatever else there is, um, no one's going to use Spark. They're going to move to Vodafone or Slingshot or Flip or whatever. There's so many other services that aren't going to do that. Unless every internet company lobbies to do the exact same thing, which just wouldn't make sense, then it's never going to happen, because one internet company is like, wow, there's all these people that don't want to have slow Amazon Prime, they want to have fast Amazon Prime, so we'll give them that, and then everyone's going to go to that company. So as long as there's competition, I don't think it's actually ever going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm hugely hu- that I'm hugely concerned with. So I hope it's something um that remains. I think net neutrality is incredibly important in regards to the internet and having an open and free internet. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's just yeah. Do we want to move on to another topic now?
yeah.
Maybe one more.
The next headline is, it's a GIF, but it's actually genuinely interesting, and I can describe it to you. It's in Russia. There's a in the subway, you can get a free ticket by doing 30 squats. So there's a machine that you can stand next to and do 30 squats, and it counts it for you, and then gives you a subway ticket, like as in like a train subway, not a sandwich subway.
Oh, yeah, I've
It is
seen this.
the most interesting thing I've seen all day. I haven't been up for very long, but that's really weird, but also really interesting. And there's people like lining up to do it. What what do you think about that?
Um, that's pretty cool. I'll do 30 squats instead of paying a bus fare. Sure. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? You get a bus ticket and you also get to
Yeah.
exercise. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like there's no like losing situation there. I would totally do that.
Yeah.
Would you?
I'm trying to figure out what the incentive is for the train station. What are they
Oh,
getting out of
right.
this?
Yeah. I
Publicity,
mean,
maybe?
it's probably some sort of promotion, you know? Um,
Yeah. Maybe.
yeah. Um, Something like that. I don't know. But I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool for sure.
Oh, okay, I see. So the comments have revealed this was just a promotion for the 2014 Winter Olympics.
Okay,
So I don't think it's a regular thing. They just did
right.
it during that time. Still, um, very interesting.
All right. Lovely. So I think that's the end of reading the
It's all good.
headlines. Um, so now I believe next is our top five. Our segment called Top Five. This is inspired by the film High Fidelity, where they make their own top fives constantly in the film. If you haven't seen that film, you should watch it. It's good. Um, yeah. So last week we did top five films, our personal top five films. If you want to know what our top five films are, you should check out our first podcast, which is available on YouTube and is also available on Twitch and also our website redlaughriot.com. That's redlaughriot one word.com. Um, Oh, that's such a good promotion of that. I'm so good at promoting stuff. Anyway, um, so this week we're doing top five TV shows. Um, yeah. So pretty obvious. Our personal top five TV shows. Brilliant. Should we get started on
Cool,
this?
cool.
Should I go first?
Um, I can. I might go first because you went first
You went.
last
Oh
week.
yeah, because I, I
Um,
I went first last time. Yeah. So you go
yeah,
first this time.
yeah. We are well. My fifth favorite TV show of all time. It's got to be Rick and Morty. It's just brilliant in every way. I these days I feel weird saying that I'm a big Rick and Morty fan because big Rick and Morty fans have such a bad reputation these days. You know, after season three and the Szechuan sauce and all that kind of stuff happened, the fans went
Hmm.
a bit crazy. But I'm I don't know what I'd call a purist, not a purist, a fan who's not an idiot, in simple terms, who has been a fan since before season three. If you're a fan before season three, then I reckon like you deserve way more respect than anyone who was a fan after season three. You know what I mean? Because like when season three came out, that's when it became like pop culture and like popular among like
Right.
teenagers and all that kind of stuff. I reckon.
Right.
Like before that, I feel like it was way more niche. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rick and Morty, um, for me is because I think a mate showed me like one episode, and I was like,
Okay.
I was so confused, and I haven't like gone
Really?
back to it. I haven't gone back to it since. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was
Was it? Did
necessarily.
he show the?
I
Did he show you the first episode or just a random one?
I can't remember. I think it was the first episode, but
Because
I
I
um
just
I
love it
couldn't.
so much. It's just like
Yeah,
I don't think I've laughed harder at a TV show, or even a movie probably. Like I just like it's just the funniest thing. It's just so random. Like it's
right.
just the most sporadic, crazy stuff you would have never thought of. Because I mean, half the time they're drunk when they improv all the recordings. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
like yeah, I think it's just genuinely hilarious, and the animations are all beautiful. I mean, like it's yeah, I mean I don't know, maybe not beautiful, but like it's very solid and fun. It's a fun style, I think. Yeah.
Nice, nice. All right. My number five pick is Degrassi. Degrassi, which is a Canadian teen drama that ran for 14 years, I think. I think it finished up in like 2014 or something like that. And started in the early 2000s. Um I binge watched those 14 seasons last year, and I really really liked it. It's it's probably the most guilty pleasure show on my list. Um I don't know. It's a show I really enjoyed it. It's like it does border on soap opera for sure. Um which, that's sort of where the guilty pleasure stuff fits in, but it's just really good. I mean, well acted, well written. It's definitely a show that it likes to tackle issues. It's definitely an issue-based show. I mean, name any social issue, and they've probably tackled it throughout their run. But I just really liked it. Yeah,
That's really interesting. I've never heard of it.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um,
that
yeah.
sounds
Have you
interesting.
heard of Drake? You know
Yeah,
Drake the
yeah,
rapper?
yeah. I've seen
He was
he's.
on it.
So
He was on it.
was he in it for the whole season, like for the whole run, or was it just like until more recent
No. Back in its
seasons?
back. He was in its like first couple of seasons. And then he
Oh,
left.
okay.
And then he left to pursue his music career. Um,
I see.
yeah, which is pretty funny. Um, but
Hmm.
it's a good show. I like it. I recommend it. Yeah, I mean, check it out, Ben. I don't know if it's and people listening should also check it out. It's definitely, like I say, but it definitely borders on soap opera, no doubt about it. Um, and it's definitely a guilty pleasure show of mine. Yeah. Um,
All right.
Ben, do you wanna announce your number four pick?
Number four, my fourth favorite TV show of all time, is BoJack Horseman. And I briefly talked about this one last week on our What You Doing segment because season five just came out,
Ah,
and
right.
yeah, it's just it's such a brilliant show from start to finish. Well, it's not finished, but I assume there will be more seasons. But yeah, it's just the humor's really smart. I really love it. Like it's not like Rick and Morty where it's all sporadic and random. It's actually really like I love both, but BoJack's
Hmm.
really well written and really clever in its humor. And there's a lot of like animal related jokes. Because if you don't know, it's a show in a world where like anthropomorphic animals, I think that's the right word, live with humans. So there's just yeah,
Right.
like everyone's either a human or like a half human and like animal kind of thing. Um, it's hard to describe, but like
Yeah.
it just exists in that world, and there's a lot of those kind of animal humor kind of things. Like if you've seen like for example Zootopia, it's kind of like that, except there's also
Right.
humans. In terms of the world, it's like that kind of world. And in Zootopia as well, there was some funny animal humor as well. Um, yeah, and the show is not only funny though; it's just it does cut deep at a lot of points, and yeah, uh, I don't know what else to say. It's like I think it's like progressively gets more like into the story. Like in the first season, maybe it's one other. Actually, I wouldn't even say. I was gonna say like it's more about the comedy in the first season, but it's not even at that point. I think it's just more serialized in the first season, and it gets
Right.
sorry more episodic in the first season. It gets more serialized throughout the series, um, and I just love it. It's just a show that I got hooked on, and I couldn't stop watching. Um, yeah, that's all I have
Oh,
to say. I highly recommend.
lovely. Yeah. BoJack Horseman. I haven't seen it personally. I've been meaning to. Yeah. Um, I know I know Aaron Paul, isn't it? Who's a
Yeah,
fantastic actor. So that was sort of the major thing that made me want to see it. But it's just a show I haven't got around to seeing. Um, Now, my number four pick is a New Zealand animated series by the name of Brotown. I
yeah.
loved Brotown. I watched that when it was coming out on TV. And it
Mm-hmm.
was brilliant. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. Um, I thought it was really well acted. I mean, also it's a New Zealand show, so that's pretty cool, and a New Zealand animated show as well. Which there's not many of. So that was cool. And just yeah, just a bit of Kiwi humor, which is always brilliant.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've never seen it actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely should watch it. It's from like the same guys who did Sione's Wedding.
Oh, okay.
If you've I don't know if you've
I mean, I
seen
haven't
that
seen that
then.
either. No.
Um, but
No.
yeah, just real typical Kiwi humor. And it's really good. So you definitely should watch it. New Zealanders and non-New Zealanders alike should watch it.
Yeah. My number three pick is a show called um, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. And you can find it on Netflix. Um, it's a show that I can't really describe. It's basically a show you just have to watch and discover for yourself. It's just really brilliant, brilliantly written. The first season is like just a single perfect season of television. It's just beautiful. It's amazing. It's based on novels by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Um, if you've heard of that, there was a movie a while ago, and it's adapted for television. Um, hold on. Oh, sorry. Did I say I named the wrong author? I meant to say Douglas Adams. Arthur Conan Doyle. That's the author of Sherlock Holmes. My bad. Sorry, Douglas Adams, who wrote the books, and he also wrote the show, not the show, but the novels that the show is based on. And yeah, it's adapted for television by Max Landis, and it's had two seasons. And unfortunately, after the second season, the show was cancelled because the way the show's run, it's produced by BBC America, who obviously are a network television network, and so when they air episodes, weekly, and expect people to tune in and watch, and they weren't getting the viewership. But on Netflix, it's done really well, which is what frustrates me about the cancellation of it, because it's the kind of series that's written for Netflix. It's like a binge series. Like if I had to wait a whole week between episodes, I don't know what I'd do. Like it'd be just horrendously horrible, and I think that's why it didn't get viewership on when it played out on the network, because it wasn't the type of show that you would watch on network TV, on broadcast TV. But there, when it was first cancelled, there was petitions to get Netflix to pick it up themselves, but they never ended up doing anything with it. But I think potentially there might be like a comic book series or something happening. I think the showrunners might have talked about. I'm not 100% sure. There was some stuff going on with Max Landis last year as well. Apparently, people weren't happy with him, so maybe the network didn't want to, or Netflix didn't want to get into that and didn't want to be involved with him anymore. Who's to say really what the real reason is that they're not doing it? But I think it's a really brilliant show, and it's really sad that it's not continuing because season 2 ended on quite a few cliffhangers that I'm quite mad I don't get to see. And in fact, I would say I think it's episode 9, the second to last episode of season 2 is I think one of the most well written episodes of television I think it's that I've ever seen anyway. I really it was really thrilling. Overall, I'd say the first season's better, but it's just a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. So that takes us to my number three pick, which is The Mentalist. Um, so for those who don't know, The Mentalist was a police procedural, an American show. Um, the first American show on my list actually, because the last two were non-American shows. Um, yeah. Um, just a really good police procedural. In fact, I think the best in the genre. Um,
Yeah, that I don't. It's not on my list, but I was a big fan of The Mentalist when it was
yeah.
first airing. Yeah, what do you have to say on it?
Um, Yeah, I mean it's about a like a con man who pretends to be a psychic, um and he ends up consulting for the CBI, which the CBI or the California Bureau of Investigation, which is a fictional group. Um, yeah, and they in each episode is them trying to solve a crime. 90% of the time it's a murder. But it has a overarching storyline of Patrick Jane, who's the main character, trying to find the elusive serial killer who goes by the name of Red John. Um, to find him because Red John killed Patrick Jane's wife and child. Yeah, so that's what the story what it's about. Stars Simon Baker, who's a Australian actor, which is cool. Um, I mean, not a New Zealand actor, but I'm part Australian, so I'll take that.
Oh, really?
I'll take what I can get. Um, but no, really well acted, really well written. And while it was on, it was probably my one of, if not my favorite show. Um, yeah, so people should go check it out.
I would say the same thing. When it was on, it was probably my favorite show as well. I followed it so closely. Um, I just felt like I think the first three seasons are like really good. Or actually, the first two seasons are like really good.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that point, it kind of gradually kind of dropped in quality for me. It
Okay.
felt less consistent. Um, and so when it got to and then I felt that I won't get into details, but basically the first section of season six was super duper rushed. It was like one storyline that they compacted really closely, which was enjoyable for what it was, but felt like a really sudden rush. And
Right.
that they wanted to start telling a new story in the rest of season six to try and build a new audience or regain some audience because I think by that point some audience had been dropping off. Um, and I did like what they did, and I did like the new direction they took it. But in the end, overall, and in season seven as well, it just didn't feel, I don't know, as consistent or as much as what I used to enjoy about The Mentalist. Yeah, but overall, I do really remember enjoying that show a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, so now, Ben, what's your number two pick?
So my third favorite TV show, sorry, my second favorite TV show of all time is Avatar: The Last Airbender. And if you haven't heard of this show, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You need to go watch it right now. It is so beautiful in every way. The animation, the writing, the casting. It's just, I don't know. I would say even though it's not my number one favorite show, I will say I think it is the best television show ever, and one of the best stories ever put on any medium, TV or film or anything. Um, well, yeah, one of the best stories ever told. I think it's just everything about it's brilliant. It's like it's a children's show, um, but it's also really really mature. And it first aired in like 2005, I think, and finished in 2008. No, that doesn't sound right. No, yes, it does. I think that's right. And yeah, I remember watching this as a kid, and as soon as I saw like the first episode, I was just hooked on it. And it was one of those shows where it would just play once a week on Saturday mornings, and I would get up every morning, every Saturday to watch it. And I remember just going on this journey with the characters because they were kind of my age or they were a bit older. I think they were kind of teenagers. I was probably 8 or 10 or something. And just going on this journey with them, it felt so real. And it's one of the only shows that I can that I can recommend you watch one episode a week as opposed to the normal binge. Not that binging's wrong or anything. anything wrong with that, but it's one of those shows that I think really actually benefits from having a space, a week in between each episode. The only frustrating thing was that back in the day of broadcast TV, and we didn't have the internet to rely on the news of when the next season was coming out or anything, when there would just be big gaps where suddenly it didn't air and I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh no, it's gone. And so literally every week I would check in the newspaper to see if it was coming on the next Saturday, like every week. And I would, when I saw it that it was coming back on, I just got so excited about it, and I would do everything I could to make sure I saw that show. If we were going on holiday, like we went to Hannah Springs a couple times, I remember, and I would get up in the morning, turn on the TV and make sure I saw that episode, because it was just, yeah, I think the only episode show I ever watched like religiously. Maybe, I guess actually for a time I did watch The Mentalist religiously as well, like every week basically, no matter what. Yeah, it's amazing. And some news on the show. Um, well, if you don't know, there is a horrendous film that was made by M. Night Shyamalan, 8 years ago, in 2010, and it's one of the worst movies ever made. If you haven't seen the series, you'll have no idea what's going on. If you have seen the series, you'll think, what the heck's going on? It's horrendously bad in every way, and we don't really need to talk about that. But Netflix has just announced that they're going to do a live action adaptation as a series, and they're bringing on like the original creators of the show to showrun it. So I'm actually cautiously excited about this, because
Right.
I do think the cartoon's perfect. I do think it doesn't need anything more. I think it's perfect. Like, they did a sequel series called The Legend of Korra, which is based like 70 years after, which I don't think is nearly as good. It's interesting, but it's not nearly as good in any way, I don't think. But it was enjoyable to see that they were doing something new. And I would have been keen for just another show, whether it was based after Korra or before the original series, because I just love the world. The world building's incredible. But I think most likely Netflix wanted to do. I think my theory is they just wanted to do live action, because it would bring in a new audience, or to bring in some more audience for them. So just so another show that they can promote as their own thing, and because it's such a popular show already, so many people will watch it regardless.
Yeah.
As opposed to a new series, I think
Yeah.
less people would watch.
I mean, you have a guaranteed audience there by bringing
absolutely.
back
and I
a
think
show.
it's a surefire. Yeah, I think it's a surefire. Like, it's going to be, if like I think it almost definitely won't be better than the cartoon, but it will at least be not bad, because the original creators are on board. And just today, I read the news. In fact, like half an hour ago, I read the news while we were doing the podcast, that the composer who did the music for the original series is going to compose the music for the live action, and the music is one of the greatest things again about this show. So I'm getting more excited about that show every day, as cautious as I am about it. Yeah, I talked for a while on that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you
but
did.
I just love it so much.
All right. Yeah, I've nothing really to add on that show, mainly because I've only seen like a couple episodes here and there. My number 2 pick is the show How I Met Your Mother. Now, I
Uh-huh.
I really like this show. I really do. An incredible cast. Everyone from Neil Patrick Harris, to Josh Randor. Um, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Yeah, just an incredible ensemble cast. Really well written. Um, yeah, just a really a really well done show. Um, I mean, obviously, a show that does get a bit of a bad rap in regards to its finale. Um, I know that a lot of people didn't like the finale. Here's the thing: when I watched it, Because I watched it sort of after people said, "Oh, the finale's really bad." So I think it was overhyped how bad it
Yeah.
was for me going into it because I had low expectations. So I wasn't as
Okay.
disappointed as other people. But
Yeah.
having said that, I did hear a very interesting defense of the finale, which was if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. But it was basically based off because there's an episode that is from that is like about the mother. Um and basically what we find out.
From the one that's from her perspective,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know what
from
you mean.
that episode we find out that now I can't remember if it was a boyfriend or a fiance, but it might have been a fiance or was going to be a fiance. Anyway, he ended up dying in a car crash. Um, now, so obviously, when we meet the when we sort of finally have the moment where Ted and the mother meet, which is beautiful. I love that moment. Um, but when the major problem that people had with it um Ted ended up with Robin in the end. But what that what that gave was that Ted got to be with Robin, right? And then the wife got to be with her dead fiance. Is sort of the argument
Right.
that was being
I
presented,
Yeah.
which I thought was an interesting argument.
I never thought about that. I was hugely disappointed with the last. I enjoyed that show a lot as
Yeah,
well. That's one of my favorites as well, for sure. Um, but I was hugely disappointed with the last season. Not because of what everyone else hates it for, not because of what happened to the mother and that Ted ended up with Robin. I thought it was really clever, and I thought it was really clever the way they pre-recorded the ending with
yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Um, it's like, so it surprised me. Like, oh wow. Um, I only think that would have been smarter for them to do. Would have been smarter for them to record multiple endings, multiple
okay,
different versions, rather than forcing themselves to stick to that one pathway, because it just kind of narrowed them into this strip where they progressed the storyline throughout all the seasons with these different relationships, and then in the season finale they reversed everything and they said, well, now Robin and Barney, they got divorced immediately, and we
yeah,
had a whole season which was this wedding lead up to the wedding,
yeah, and then
and then
just to
just
throw
in
that
one
all
episode it's just
away.
like, nope, that didn't happen. So no one, yeah, throws it away, and that's what I hate about it. Actually, I think they just didn't execute it well enough. I think that's really the problem, because you saw Ted and Robin, sorry, not Ted and Robin, Barney and Robin having struggles in season 9, and they were like, oh no, we'll work it out, we'll work through it together, whatever. It was, oh yeah, cute. But then they get divorced in the next episode. Like, it was, yeah, that really frustrated me, because they could have taken it the other way and like had the wedding being cancelled, and Robin, I don't know, Robin and Ted, I guess, would still have to remain separate for that time, for him to meet the mother, I guess. But yeah, I think, or even not holding the whole mother thing to the last episode. Like, I thought maybe they would introduce the mother at the end of season 6 or 7 or something, and then have a whole season where the mother's in it. Because why not? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
yeah,
it just wasn't executed well enough for me.
right, right. I mean, to be fair, the show was How I Met Your Mother, so it's about that
Yeah,
meeting, and then from there, it's not really
but I mean,
like
like
that's not what
after
the
six
story's
seasons
about.
of leading up, I mean, why can't you have one season with the mother in it?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, I mean, you sort of did it with season 8 and season 9, or just season 9, um, where each of the gang gets sort of introduced to the mother, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, all right. Ben, your turn. What's your number one? Or
Well,
unless
wait,
you
we're
want
on
to
to number
do
one, eh?
honorary mentions
Do we
first.
have any? I was, because I was gonna um, throw some honourable mentions out there, and two of them were ones that you've said. So The Mentalist and How Met Your Mother are honourable mentions of mine, as well as uh, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is on that list. The Blacklist,
Hey.
I'm a big fan of The Blacklist, although it's definitely, for me, has dropped off in quality a bit. Um, what else is there? The IT Crowd, of course. I talked about that last week as well. That's like probably my number six. I was debating whether or not that would be my number five, but I think it's not quite as funny as Rick and Morty. It's still one of my favorite TV shows. And Top Gear slash The Grand Tour. Um,
Okay.
that's really lovely. It's so much fun. And also BBC's Luther, but basically only the first season because after that I didn't really enjoy it as much. Yeah, those are some honorable mentions from me. Oh, and The Good Place. Can't forget The Good Place. Did you have honorable
Yeah,
mentions?
yeah, I have a lot of honorable mentions. Um, so I have um The Fosters is one of my honorable mentions. For those who don't know, it's a show about a lesbian couple and their mix of biological, um, biological, adopted, and foster kids. A really good show. Finished up this year. I just love that show so much. Another one is Survivor, the reality series. I used to watch that a lot.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
just a really good show. Yeah, I like that aspect of it. You know, there's a physical game. You know, of these people trying to, you know, like sort of survive. You know, they're you know, restricted their food aspects, and so you got that, but then you also got the social side of the game. You know, of people making deals and stabbing each other in the back, which is really interesting as well. Another
Yeah.
honorable mention is Last Week Tonight, with John Oliver. Fantastic show. Really, really well made, really well researched. Um, but also sort of makes a comedy aspect of sort of how John Oliver presents it. You can tell he's really passionate about the stuff that he talks about. Um, Another show, South of Nowhere, um, which is about a girl who moves from it's like Iowa or somewhere like that to LA. And it's sort of like a coming of age and a coming out story, which is really cool. There's so many. I have so many honorable mentions. It's ridiculous. And I
Yeah.
know I know that I'm missing some. American Vandal, which was the show I was talking about last week. Skins, the UK version, is fantastic. And finally, Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World, such a good show. I mean, um, yeah, just a really nice show. I really like it. Yeah. Um, all right. So now we've reached the
Yeah.
point where everyone's been waiting for. Ben, what's your number one TV show of all time?
My favorite TV show is a web series. It's actually a
Oh,
web series called Video Game High School.
ah,
And it's a show made by a small production company called Rocket Jump, who started
okay,
out on YouTube making um, kind of short films and sketches and that sort of thing. They do a lot of kind of visual effects kind of stuff as well.
right,
Um, and they got crowdfunded to do this uh, web series about some kids who go to a high school where they play video games and learn. I guess they learn how to play video games even better on a professional scale because it exists in a world where esports is like the thing. Like it's not just like a niche kind of or a kind of nerdy kind of thing. It's like everyone's in esports. It's more popular or it's as popular as current day like football, FIFA, and rugby and that sort of thing are. So it's in a kind of like a near future kind of alternate reality sort of thing. And
right.
it's just so much fun and a really surprisingly, I want to say heartwarming. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, yeah, emotional, I guess. More emotional than you'd expect out of a cheaply made um, TV show about a video game high school. The bump up in production value went like hugely up in season two after they got way more supporters on Kickstarter. So it's 3 seasons long,
Okay.
and yeah, it's just yeah all time favorite of mine. And one a particular episode 4 of season three, which don't go out and watch it without having seen the rest of it beforehand. But that particular episode, also don't Google it, is my favorite episode of any show ever. I think it's one of the most well written episodes in television. It's brilliant in every way, and the storytelling in that episode was just so wonderful, and I did not see it coming. I did not see it coming, but yeah, that's it. It touched my heart, you know. Really, really fun series.
All right, and now my number one is a show. So it's a drama show. It's American. Um, I'm trying to build up to it, but I can't. I just want to say the name of the show. It's the one. It's the one, the only Breaking Bad. Oh, I love this show so much. For those who don't know, it's about a chemistry teacher gets diagnosed with cancer, and because of the uselessness of the American health system, he's like, "Yo, you know what I should do? I should cook meth." Played by Bryan Cranston, of course, who's a phenomenal actor. Um, and he partners up with a former student of his who's turned to dealing drugs, who's played by Aaron Paul. It's just a fantastic show, incredibly well acted, incredibly well written by Vince Gilligan and his team. Um, yeah, just well directed, well shot. Just a really, really interesting show. Um, yeah, and just so good. Um, I could talk about it. I could talk about it for hours, but I don't really want to spoil it.
Well, that I guess concludes because I haven't seen Breaking Bad, so I have nothing to say on it. The top five TV shows.
All right.
Do you want to introduce what we're talking about next?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is related to TV shows, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So the Emmys were the other day. I can't remember when exactly they were off the top of my head. Um, yeah, so we're going to talk about the Emmys because that's sort of the major thing that happened recently. Um, yeah, Ben, have you
Yeah.
what do you know
So
about?
I haven't followed this at all. I literally know nothing about what's happened
Okay,
whatsoever. I don't follow it at all because like it's not quite like the Oscars where it's like the unknown films get recognized, the true good art films and stuff. It's like just general TV shows that everyone knows about already are getting
right.
awards and stuff. And like I don't really care because if I had already wanted to watch a TV show, I would have watched it or seen it or it's on my list or whatever. Like I don't think I'm going to get anything new out of watching the Emmys unless you surprise me today by telling me about something I didn't know that interests me. But it's not quite on that Oscar level, it seems, because it's like more of like a popular kind of thing. At least that's how it feels. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, so we'll go through the major winners. So outstanding drama series. Okay, but since Ben doesn't know, I got an idea. How about
Oh yeah.
um Ben? Do you reckon you could predict the winners? If I say what the category is, right? Do you reckon you can predict who
Yeah.
won it? Who won the award? Do you want to have a go?
Do you think you could read out the nominations? Because I don't know if I could guess on the like
Yeah. Okay.
out of
I'll
thin
do that.
air.
Yeah, yeah. Rather
I
than
assume
pulling
there's
it.
a number of nominations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's do that. All right. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yep. That sounds fun.
for outstanding drama series, the nominees were The Americans, The Crown, The Crown, The Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things, Game of Thrones, This Is Us, and Westworld. What do you think won, Ben?
Um, I don't know too much about most of these shows. I've heard about three or four of them. Um, I'm gonna guess The Crown because it just seems like everyone was always talking about that show and how good it was. That's my guess.
Um, so the winner was Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I didn't want to guess Game of Thrones because I thought that's too popular has that won anything in the past? Because
Yeah,
that's been going for so long.
it
I thought
it,
it would have won something by now.
it constantly wins. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Does it like win? Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
well. That seems odd to me. Like I would say like if you're calling it like the best drama or whatever, it should be. But I don't know. It feels like it should be something new that hasn't won it before, because Crown's only had two seasons, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
I
Game of
think
Thrones
so.
has been there for 7 seasons. Everyone already knows that it's a great show. Um, what's the point in giving it the award year after year and not giving recognition to something else? It
Yeah,
seems a bit odd to me. I think.
no,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
All right. What's next?
Um, the next category is outstanding comedy series. So the nominees
Mm-hmm.
were Atlanta, Barry, Blackish, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Glow, Silicon Valley, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Well, okay. Firstly, I just wanted to say Kimmy Schmidt sounds. That's really surprising that that's on there. For me, personally, I don't get that show at all. I think I watched the first 4 episodes of that. Maybe it's a lot better than it used to be. But I found it incredibly boring and really not funny at all. A lot of people probably
Yeah,
disagree with that, but I just wanted to say that.
yeah, I haven't.
Best comedy. Nah,
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I'm gonna say Atlanta. I'm gonna say Atlanta because I've just heard nothing but good things.
Yeah. So the winner was The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Yeah.
Okay. I've not actually heard
Yeah.
anything about that show. Do you know anything
Yeah.
about it?
So I've heard really good things about it. I just haven't personally gotten around to seeing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um. Yeah. I wanted Atlanta to win. Again, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things. Um. Yeah.
I'm like I think BoJack Horseman should be a contender for best comedy because it's not only hilarious but it's a genuinely good story and a good show. I think that should be on there unless they do a separate one for animation.
No, it's just all in one category, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't seen
mate,
anything with that.
BoJack Horseman. It's it's the best series on Netflix. I think, like in terms of quality overall, I think it's brilliant. It should be on that list.
Yeah. Um.
What's next?
All right. Next is um outs. Okay, because the rest of the categories are outstanding variety talk series, outstanding variety sketch series, outstanding limited series, and outstanding reality competition program. Um, do you wanna
Okay.
do you wanna move on to
Well,
acting or like
I mean,
directing or
I
writing or
literally
what?
watched none of. Yeah, I'd rather go to those because I literally watched none of those types of shows. The
Yeah,
only reality TV show I watch is The Amazing Race because it's the only reality TV show that I think accurately shows what's reality.
right.
Everything else. I find it a bit fakery, so I don't enjoy that stuff. And news and talk shows, I don't really watch unless like there's a celebrity that I'm a fan of that I want to see what they said on the show or whatever. But I don't regularly watch those shows.
Right.
Sketch shows, no, I don't really watch either. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so with in regards to outstanding reality competition program, The Amazing Race was nominated, but
Oh yeah,
RuPaul's Drag Race won.
right. I mean, I'm not surprised it wouldn't win because it's certainly not like an outstandingly brilliant show or anything, but it is a consistently very decent show and a very decent reality show, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go to. Do you want to go to writing maybe rather than acting? Because the
Yeah.
acting awards were sort of all over the place.
Okay. Right.
And were sort of from shows that I don't think many of us have seen. Like, for example, outstanding lead actor in a comedy series, was won by Bill Hader for Barry, which is a show I've never heard of.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Right. I mean, I know Bill. I know
yeah, I
Bill.
know
Bill
who Bill
Hader.
Hader is, but I haven't heard of the
Yeah.
show.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but just letting you know, Ben, because you mentioned that you liked The Good Place. Ted Danson won, who
Oh, did
plays.
he?
Oh, sorry. Ted. Sorry, not won. He was nominated. My bad. He was
Oh,
nominated.
okay. Right.
Um,
Okay. Oh yeah, he is. He is pretty
yeah.
great.
Um, yeah. I mean, for those who are, yeah, who like don't know much, in regards to the Emmys and who won, feel free to check the Emmys out. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what do you think of the Emmys? Do you think it's still relevant? Do you follow it, or do you only follow the Oscars, or do you just not really care about award shows in general? All
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
the next segment is
What you doing?
who went first last time? I can't remember. Do you remember, Ben?
I can't remember, but I do have some juicy
All right.
things.
Ben, do you want to take the lead on this? Go
Yeah.
first.
So last week I said I was going to finish off BoJack Horseman, and I did. Season 5 was incredible. I thought I'd save this part of the conversation till now rather than talking about it earlier. Season 5, I think overall was it was a lot more dramatic than previous seasons. It was still obviously funny, but it really focused in on that really like character driven story, which I really liked. And there were one or two episodes, actually, yeah, at least two episodes, which were really, really fantastic, like really outstanding episodes. Um, yeah, so really enjoyed it. It didn't. It seemed to go by so quickly. I binged it all in like 2 days, 2.5 days or something. With breaks, obviously, because it's only like 10 or 13 episodes, 12 episodes actually. Yeah, but overall, probably not as enjoyable as some of the previous seasons. I think just overall, but also a lot more powerful than previous seasons. And I think I really like what they're doing with the show. Yeah. And what else did I say I was going to do? I said I was going to watch some Arrested Development, which again is another honourable mention I forgot to mention. So I've started watching the remix of season 4, and honestly, I find it just as bad, if not worse, than the original cut. If you haven't seen the show, it was so the first 3 seasons aired like ages ago, in like 2003 or 5 or 6 or something around there. And they're just brilliantly told stories where every character has a story throughout the episode, and they quite hilariously sometimes connect and interact with each other, and it's
Mm.
told in a linear fashion and in order, and it's really hilarious how those things come together. And with season 4, Netflix picked it up in 2000, I want to say 15, yeah, around then. And they did a season where every episode only focused on a single character. And so it was basically maybe 2 or 3 episodes per character of their entire season, and you would see them connect with other characters, but then you'd be like, well, what's that character doing there? And then later on, you'd find out why that person was there at that time and what the connection was. And so it was all told non-linearly, and overall, I found it kind of confusing and unnecessary to be told in that way. And a lot of people said that about the season, and so the creators decided before they put out the fifth season, which came out can't remember when, June or something. They worked on a remix of season 4 where they restructured it so that it was told linearly in order. And I've got through 4 or 5 episodes so far, and actually, it's still kind of on the slight confusing side. And mostly the biggest problem with I have with it is because they obviously you can't like completely rewrite the show, but it's done like there's a lot of narration over the show. Ron Howard does a narration over the whole thing basically, but there's so much narration in season 4 to kind of plug those holes and fix those connections that it kind of takes over.
Right.
And I noticed in the episode I just watched this morning, there's a whole huge section of it where he just narrates a series of things that have just happened in the last couple of episodes that I've already seen that he really didn't need to tell me again. So I was kind of confused as to why they added so much extra narration. It's almost like it was a weekly show, or that you had to catch up on the previous events. But it's not. It's a Netflix show, so people are binging it. They don't need that information again, which I thought was strange. As the season progresses, I'm hoping that the story becomes more, because it does come more connected, and hopefully it will become more entertaining in that sense. Because the first couple of episodes, to be honest, have still kind of mostly followed 1 or 2 characters, but just kind of done it in a more linear fashion. Yeah, so I'm still excited to watch season 5 once I finish the rest of season 4, because they redid it. They did all season 5 how they did the old seasons. As far as I'm aware, they did it linearly, so I'm hoping that it'll be a lot more entertaining. Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to say was, it's not necessarily coming out soon, but the Captain Marvel trailer dropped, and I'm just genuinely really, I mean, I was always really excited for it, but that trailer was one of the most well-cut, well-structured trailers I've seen in a long time. It was, really fascinating. I'm really, really excited.
Awesome.
I don't know if you had thoughts on that trailer.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer. For those,
Okay.
yeah, for those who don't know, Ben is, I would definitely say, a huge Marvel fan.
Absolutely.
Do you reckon that's fair? That's a fair statement. Um,
It's definitely fair.
yeah.
Yeah. The
Well,
Marvel movies, that is.
yeah.
Well, in general, the TV shows as well.
Yeah.
Not comics. I haven't really read the comics.
Well, me myself, I'm definitely not a Marvel fan. I've probably seen like a handful of the Marvel films. Um, but I'll tell you what shows I have been watching lately. Um, so I said I wanted to watch it, and I did. I watched season 2 of American Vandal. In fact, I did pretty much the same thing I did with season 1. I watched the entire season in like a day. Um, it's a pretty like small season. There's usually only like 8 episodes. And it was so good. The first season, in fact, I would argue it's probably the most underrated show around. Um, it is brilliant. So the first season followed. Um, the first season was about vandalism in regards to dicks being drawn on teachers' cars. Um, and the second season was about someone who poisoned the cafeteria drinks with laxatives, causing almost the entire student body to like shit themselves. Um, and it's so well done. It's incredibly funny. Um, it's just so good. You wanna keep watching it. It's just so bingeable. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can add. to it. But that's yeah. I mean, incredible cast of characters. Um, and just really well. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it on television um or like on TV. Well, TV's the same thing. Or online. Um, it's just a It's just a complete parody and a complete satire of the true crime genre. It's brilliant. The other show, I can't remember if I talked about this. But the other show that I watched, was called Everything Sucks. And that's
Oh yeah, you talked about
yeah,
this
I
last
did
week.
talk about it. Cool. Um, which I did end up watching. Unfortunately, it only has one season because Netflix decided to cancel it. Um, but it's about this young girl who's and it's set in the 90s. And so she makes friends with a bunch of people, and they decide to make a film together. Um, and during the series, she's struggling with her sexuality, and yeah, it's just a really nice little story. And it's brilliant. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
so that's what I've watched lately. In regards to what I want to watch, um, not really sure, eh? Um, I mean, the major things I have on my list, is the films, Leaving Las Vegas, Annihilation, uh, the TV series Sons of Anarchy, and because Ben recommended it, The Fundamentals of Caring. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I have other stuff on my list.
Oh, cool.
Whether I actually watch those shows in the week will be
Yeah.
a different thing. But yeah, no, but they
Yeah.
are definitely um, they're definitely things, movies and TV shows that I do want to watch. Yeah. All
Cool,
right.
cool, cool. Well, I guess we'll move on to the next section of the show,
Yeah.
which is called Crunchy Comments. This is the section where we read your comments. So if you're in the live stream, feel free to leave comments during the show and we'll read them afterwards. If you're watching after the live stream on YouTube or on our website, actually, I don't know if you can comment on our website. We'll have to find out about
I
that. But
don't.
comment on the Facebook page or the Twitter,
I
tweet
don't.
us, send
Yeah.
us messages. We have a Patreon. If you sign up to our Patreon, you can send us messages there. Um, there's plenty of ways to contact us. Um, and we do have one comment to read, which I'm not sure where it was posted, but Tash gave us this from at KKN Malone, who is the guy who runs Ambit, the social media platform, which we're also on, so you can comment on there as well. He says, I want a Tash special where it's just Tash speaking his mind about different vegetables. I think that is one of the best ideas ever. And I think maybe that's something we can save for when Tash is comfortable to put his voice on the podcast, maybe for the 10,000 subscriber special or something along
Something
those
like that
lines,
for sure, for sure.
Um,
Um, I mean, we'll
yeah,
first have to convince him to actually be on the podcast. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
we'll, gi-
me-
we'll give
we'll set a
we'll give him a
goal.
number,
Yeah,
set a goal, yeah, exactly, and then we'll force him to. He'll have to do it once we reach that goal. Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
exactly.
Other than that, that's the end of the show for today. We
Yeah,
clocked in about half an hour shorter than last week, which is good. I think we were pretty long last week.
yeah. Was a very long
Yeah, you can
podcast
find
last
us on
week.
Facebook, Twitter, Ambit, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch. Um, is that everything?
And our
Just look us
website.
up, Red Life Riot. You should be able to find us.
Yeah,
Yeah, redliferiot.com. Yeah.
yeah.
us out.
That's it. We'll see you guys next time. And thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you.